The thing about storytelling is, the longer the story goes, the more interesting the characters can become. You watch enough movies, you notice that a lot more of your movies start to tell a much broader picture. So sometimes you have to help the movies tell the story of the much larger picture. Like Santa Claus. Santa Claus started like in 1970 with the story of Kris Kringle coming to town. He was all happy and jolly. He was trying to make everybody happy just by making toys. But they didn't want to let him. And they kept messing with Kris Kringle. So they came to the story of Claus. Claus was just living out in the woods by himself. He didn't want to have anything to do with people. He wanted to be left alone, but he realized that he still had a gift of making toys. Until the nightmare of dreams started coming up. And although he wasn't the main character in this story, Jack Frost kind of helped Santa get his mojo back and back into the swing of things, people believing in it. Jack Frost is an important character. He'll come up again later. But for whatever reason, the other mythical creatures of Nightmare Land decided they wanted to kidnap Santa Claus. And that's how the Nightmare Before Christmas happened. Jack Skellington kidnapped Santa Claus. The crazy thing about it was, at the exact same time he kidnapped Santa Claus, everybody starts panicking and freaking out because Santa Claus isn't around. So what happens? Opportunity happens for greedy people to start stealing. And that's how the Grinch stole Christmas. Because if you remember, Santa Claus was nowhere to be found during that time. But everybody in Whoville loves Santa Claus. So why didn't Santa show up to save Christmas? Huh? Nobody asked that question. So we go back to like regular people world, and they've got a bunch of pretenders or like larger elves trying to be Santa Claus. Put on the coat, they become Santa Claus. But in this one neighborhood, there's the Cranks, and the Cranks love Christmas. They do it big every Christmas. They are the epitome of holiday spirit. And one day, like, well, their grandson is over. One of these fake Santa Clauses falls off the roof. Crazy thing is, because of the Santa Claus, the Cranks put on the coat. He puts on the coat and he becomes Santa Claus himself. It's what happens when you send pretenders to the throne. You remember back when I told you about the rise of the Guardians and Jack Frost? Well, Jack Frost comes back up and he's like, I want to be Santa Claus. I can get you out of it. This is too hard for you. You're not a magical being. I am. The coat doesn't make you magic. I'm already magic. So he tries to convince him to get out of the coat, but at the same time, the real Santa Claus, the one that they had kidnapped back in like Halloween Town, he breaks out. This Santa Claus is huge. He's not just going to sit around and let you hold him hostage, but because he's a larger man and he has anger issues, because he was living out in the woods. What else do you do? But you go on a terrorizing spree and start killing people. And they found the biggest claws they could go after him. Now, because Santa Claus is a magical being, the moment you turn Santa Claus angry, his magic splits. You have the benevolent Santa Claus, one that everybody loves to give out gifts. And then you have the malevolent Santa Claus, known as the Krampus. The Krampus plays with your mind, and he delivers terrible gifts of death. Death. So, in the Christmas Horror Story, you remember those fake Santas, the one that fell off the roof for the Santa Claus? He becomes a janitor at a mall. And because, like, his magic mind has snapped, he starts seeing the real world and the magic world in the same place. So he tries to kill the Krampus. But like I said, the Krampus is playing tricks on him. And the Krampus convinces him to kill the mall supervisor, director, whatever you call him. And then the mall Santa gets killed by the cops. End of the movie. So then the question becomes, what happens to that big burly Santa, the one that was murdering people? Like I said, because how magic he is, some of that magic stuck around with him. He became grizzled, harder, still trying to hope for the best, but he's still Santa Claus. So you get the Fat Man, and he loses an eye. Story of Santa Claus continues until he ultimately kicks the bucket. We'll see what happens to him from here. I'm cold.